Hello and welcome, this is AgentXP and welcome back to another author playthrough. Today we are playing my 18th released Tomb Raider custom level, and this one is a Christmas level called The Hunt for Esmeralda. This one has been a while in the making. I began it last Christmas and I have not worked on it consistently all year. I actually only started working on this again a couple of weeks ago, and it released on New Year's Eve 2021. As you can see here, we have two outfit choices, and I will be playing with the title outfit as pictured here on the menu. I always like to provide players with a choice of outfits. In this level, we're going to join Lara as she spends Christmas at a Celtic farmhouse. As I said, I began this level at Christmas 2020, and this was partly the inspiration behind Lara spending Christmas with a group of level builders. Given the current world situation, I thought it would be fun and cozy if Lara met a group of level builders at this farmhouse and had lots of conversations and interactions with them. Here we join Lara as she runs towards the farm. I love this opening cinematic flyby. I had a lot of fun with this. This level features some custom written music by DJ Full, and the music that is playing here is an example of that, also the title music. And speaking of DJ, he is the first person that we are going to chat to as we arrive in the level. Hey DJ.
Lara, you took your time to get here. Now that you're here, you can make yourself useful and help me to feed the chickens. You will need to get some grain. You should find some in the old mill. The others are in the house waiting for you. They will be starting to prep the Christmas dinner soon, so you can help with that also. Don't worry, Esmeralda, we are having turkey this year.
I should check out the farmhouse and say hi to the others. So now that we have said hi to DJ, we will get a couple of messages come up on screen. And Lara tells us we should check out the farmhouse. That is our first port of call. And we also get a phone flash up on the screen. Now if you press tab, you will be able to access Lara's iPhone. And here she's going to record thoughts and useful information about the tasks that she needs to do in this level. You can also select the phone from the inventory as well as a map of the level. Now, part of the reason for the map and the phone is that this level is quite large, so I wanted to provide the players with a hint and reminder as to where to go if they get lost. So this is the farmhouse and we'll pop inside in just a moment. Behind us is the chicken coop, so that is good to note for future reference as DJ said we'll be feeding the chickens. And on the horizon there you can just about make out the church tower in the village. A general rule for the map is that any building marked with text is enterable, so it's worth bearing that in mind. First we're going to open the door to our right and head straight into the lounge. Hey Reggie, find anything interesting in those books?
Hey Lara, actually, yes. There's a fascinating local legend about a harp player who used to play in the village. She played the most beautiful melodies on her harp in the village church for many years. But at the end of her life, she vanished without a trace. Apparently, nobody knew what happened to her or her harp, or even where her final resting place was.
That's intriguing. I wonder if we could find her.
That would be amazing. Hey, by the way, if you could go into the village later, could you please grab me some chocolate from the village shop?
Sure. That was the first of several character interactions we'll get within the house. Reggie has given us the task of bringing him some chocolate if we venture into the village later on. So have a look around. I absolutely love this lounge. It is so festive and I had so much fun decorating. As we walk towards the Christmas tree, we can spot some flares on a sideboard at the end of the room. So grab those and let's continue to explore. There are a few more characters we are going to want to chat to. So walk into the dining room and you will hear the grandfather clock chime. If we look down here, we'll see a little train set going around a Christmas tree. That's something I've always wanted to do in real life, and I've never quite managed to do that. I always think that's very festive. So walk into the dining room and we can open the French doors out into the garden, and that's somewhere we'll want to investigate in a bit. But before we do that, we're going to finish all the tasks that we have in the house. Hello, T-Tac.
Lara, good to see you.
Miss of Avalon is looking amazing. I'm looking forward to going on that adventure.
Thank you. I'm working hard to finish it. I haven't had time to write my letter to Santa yet. Can you please write it for me? I want to ask him for an e-bike.
Sure, I can do that for you.
There are writing materials upstairs. Here, take my room key. Also, if you spot my cat anywhere around, could you please make sure he's okay? I haven't seen him in a while.
And so T-Tac has given us another mission, to write a letter to Santa. And you might have noticed the little phone icon pop up on the screen, and that means we can now hit tab and find some newer pages on Lara's phone. So if you want to read those more thoroughly, you can pause the video. Hey, Tomb Raider XI.
Hey, Lara.
The stove smells amazing. Dinner must be almost ready.
Not too long now, but in the meantime, maybe you can help. I'm out of eggs and flour and need to bake the Christmas pudding for later. Can you please grab me some from the farm?
Yes, sure. So we now have 4 tasks from the different people that we've met, and the phone will help us keep track of those in case we forget. You might have seen the phone icon flash up on screen there. Before we go any further, we're going to come into the larder and find the first of 20 secret Santas. And as the message on screen indicates, if we find all of them, we will unlock a secret door with a very small bonus area. Here you can see the tasks listed on the phone, so that'll serve as an aid memoir in case you forget which objects each person has requested. Perhaps I can find a way into the attic. I'd need to stand on something to open the hatch. Lara tells us that we should be able to enter the attic, but first we're going to explore some of the rooms upstairs here in the house. Now this is the master bedroom with a very small ensuite, and the only thing to find in here is some flares on the windowsill. So pick those up and we're going to take a peek inside some of the other rooms. Now most of these rooms don't contain anything of note. They are just guest rooms for all the guests staying in the house. This is quite a big farmhouse. There are at least 6 bedrooms here, so you can have lots of people stay here. As we run into this room, you might spot something on the windowsill, and if we climb up, we can claim a second secret Santa, or lint chocolate Santa, as one of my testers pointed out. So let's run back onto the landing and we can open the door to the bathroom, and in here we'll find a large med kit on top of this unit. So pick up the med kit and we'll go and explore some of the other rooms. Now the most notable room is there on the right. You can see the keyhole, and T-Tac gave us the key to that room. That is her room, and that is the one in which we are going to find some useful useful things. So just to open this door, there's nothing to see in here apart from some nice scenery. That's another guest room, and we can come here and use T-Tac's room key on this very prominent lock, and the door will open. Now as we run inside here, we're going to be shown a camera view, and this is showing us two things. There is a door that we can investigate, and Lara is also staring very intently at that table. Now that's to give us a clue that it can be moved. But first, open this chest. Aha, paper. Now to find something to write with. So Lara remarks that she has found some paper, and now we need something to write with. A Tomb Raider never carries a pen, right? So we're now going to push this table out through the doorway. We can only push it so far, but you should be able to climb on top of it through the doorway, and we can then move it underneath the loft hatch. And this is going to allow us to jump up and grab the trapdoor and fling it open. And from there we can enter the attic. The start of this level mostly involves chatting to people and doing some simple object finding tasks, but later in the level we'll get to some more puzzly sections. So the gameplay kind of builds. It starts off gentle and then gets a bit more puzzly and challenging later. So if we climb on top of this box, we'll see a crow outside.
That crow stole a key. I wonder if I can reach the outside of that windowsill somehow.
So that cheeky crow is a bit of a magpie, and he has stolen a shiny key and left it on the windowsill, and we can't get to it from the attic. But as you saw there, what we could get inside that chest is a pencil to write with. Now that door in front of us leads to the secret bonus area of the level. It's just a small area, but if you find all 20 secrets, you'll be able to enter that attic room. But next, we're going to combine the pencil with paper, and we've now written T-Tac a letter to Santa. And we can see on our phone, which popped up in the bottom right hand corner, we now have an update. Now that Lara's written T-Tac's letter to Santa, presumably asking for an e-bike, we now need to go and post it. But before we do that, we're going to need the key to the village. And in order to do that, we're going to have to chat to some more people. And over there, you might just be able to see two other characters standing around a snowman. But before we go and chat to them, I'm going to grab another secret Santa, which is over in this corner of the level. Before I forget, so let's just grab that one. And now we're going to go and run over here and chat to Dinerader and Law, who are building a snowman.
Hi, Lara.
Hey Lara,
Hey, Din. Hey, Law.
we're building the snowman, but it still needs a nose. Can you help?
I'm sure I can find something.
Thanks, Lara.
That shovel may come in handy. Now, where to find some carrots?
And so we need to help Dinner and Law to finish their snowman. So we now get a message telling us to go and find a carrot, along with a shovel and a camera hint for where we can find the carrots. And they are located behind the barn. But before we do that, we're going to want to note the shed on our left here. There's a keyhole. And now is a good time to recall the crow that left that key on the windowsill. And this is where we are going to want to claim that. So we can see the window above, and this ivy is climbable. So the windowsill just above us is where the crow dropped the key. But before we grab that key, we're actually going to divert to the roof. Now this ivy goes all the way to the top of the house, and there is one section of wall that is flat enough to allow us to climb onto the roof. There is a snow pile which is rendering the roof flat enough to stand on this one section. And we can also jump to this section and then jump up to the top of the roof. and it's a great view from up here. I love it. So let's run over here, and on top of the chimney we can see another secret Santa. I'm glad he didn't get stuck in the chimney, although you might think he'd melt a little bit there. But pick up the Santa from the chimney, and now we can very carefully slide down the roof back to our original location. That's why I saved there. You're going to want to be really careful because it's very easy to slide off the roof, and you will fall to your death if you slide off the roof. This is quite a high house. So now we can climb over to grab the key. It's quite slow going here, but it's worth not grabbing and dropping over on the left hand side of the ivy. For some reason, that section of wall, Lara will not do the grab and drop method on the ladder, and she'll just fall and crunch at the bottom. On this section of wall, she will, however, do the grab and drop method. So just be a little careful when you're climbing that ivy. And here we can now use the key to the shed, and that's going to give us another useful item when we open up the shed. So run around the side here, and once we're inside we can see lots of different tools, and here we can pick up a crowbar, and we are shown a camera view of the chicken coop. So we can now use the crowbar on the gate to the chicken coop. But before we do anything else, we're going to actually jump into this water. And if we swim to this grating, we can claim a secret Santa. We are getting slightly closer to our total here. And from this small river, we can climb out on this section here. So grab and pull out. I made the decision not to make the water in this level freezing or have a freezing bar because I wanted this level to be as player friendly as possible, and it didn't seem very festive to put a freeze bar and force people to only spend a very short time in the water. So as we saw there, we grabbed the edge of the barn roof from a snow pile, and you can pull up and grab another secret Santa. And from here we can see some carrots, so run over to the carrots and Lara will get out the shovel.
2 hours later.
So some time later, as indicated by that little voice clip from DJ there, we have now acquired a carrot. Lara has dug up a carrot from the ground, and now we can go back to Dinner Raider and Law. Little Robin there, I think they're very cute and season appropriate. So let's run back through the back garden of the farmhouse and jump over the wall, and we can provide Dinner and Law with the carrot for their snowman.
He looks much better with a nose.
Thanks, Lara.
I was thinking of exploring the village. Do you guys want to come?
We are going to ride our sledges some more once we are done with the snowman, so we may join you later.
But if you're going to the village, here, take the key for the gate.
Thanks, guys.
So as we saw there, Law handed us the key to the gate. When I was building this level, there was an extremely hilarious bug with that snowman. When I made the version with the carrot nose visible, it was spinning, and it looked very funny, but I didn't leave it in the final version because it didn't seem very natural either. So here we can see a sheep, and I was very chuffed with the sound effect that I was able to find for that. It makes the level feel very realistic, in my opinion, as if you're on a real farm with sheep around. But now we are going to run up to the village gate, and as Law gave us the key, we can now enter the village, and we'll now be able to post the letter to Santa that we've written for T-Tac. And we can also purchase Reggie some chocolate in the village shop. So as we enter the main village square, this is a very picturesque picture postcard, stereotypically a British village scene. And that's exactly what I tried to create here. Run up to the post box and we'll be able to press action and a post T-Tax letter to Santa. And when we do, this will cause the door to the post office to open. So we can run inside this post office and general all-round village shop selling everything, as is often the case.
1 bar of dairy milk chocolate, please.
So if we press action by the till, as you saw there, we were able to give the lady some money. And we now get a phone note update, and it tells us that we now have chocolate and that we should take it back to Reggie, and we can also go and chat to Dinner and Law, who have joined us in the village. But before we go any further, we can run behind the counter and claim a Secret Santa. Now this edition was a suggestion by one of my beta testers. It was not in the original version, and in fact there were only 16 Secret Santas in the original. So you can thank one of my testers for the fact there are now 20 secrets. I had, to be fair, forgotten to put them on the roof of the barn originally, so I added 4 extra to make the secret count a nice round number of 20. So speaking of secrets, if we run up the side of these buildings, we can pick up another Secret Santa, which is visible from the other side of the fence, but not readily accessible. So we can jump back across the small stream running through the village, and we saw earlier Dinner and Law have joined us, so let's go and chat to them.
Hey again, Lara. We've been exploring the old church.
The vicar told us that they normally ring the bells for Christmas Eve, but the tower staircase is broken. You're good at climbing. Perhaps you could do it?
That sounds like fun.
Before we move on, I'm just going to point out the festive robin on top of a gravestone there. So we've been told that the church tower staircase is broken and that they can't ring the bells for Christmas Eve. Sounds like the perfect job for a Tomb Raider. So climb on top of the telephone box and claim some cake, and you might just be able to spot another Secret Santa on top of that cliff there, but we can't reach it quite yet. So next we're going to run inside the church, the door of which opened after we'd spoken to Dinner and Law. And I tried my best here to recreate a British village church as closely as I could, and I'm really chuffed with how this turned out. I love the atmosphere in here. So if we run up to this button, we can open a door, and this opens a path to the other side of the church. It just gives us a slightly quicker way to emerge on that side. And what we're going to want to check out is the tower at the other end of the church. Now the bottom staircase is still in place, but if we run up to the next floor, I'm just going to show you the message there. Sounds like the perfect job for a Tomb Raider, indeed. So if we run up to this floor, we'll see a broken staircase on the ground. And before we check out the lever switch, we're going to want to run on to the upper gallery of the church and claim another Secret Santa. Now this switch opens a trapdoor up in the bell tower, but this is timed, so we're going to want to save before we attempt this. As with the majority of my timed runs, certainly in my more recent levels, I like to allow a bit of leeway on the timer, so when I'm testing it, I'll intentionally mess up at least once and see if I can still make it. So I'll give a bit of leeway for players to make at least one small error, as I don't like timers which are overly tight. This is definitely not something I want in a Christmas level, which is meant to be more chilled. So if we run over here, we'll see the trapdoor that opened, pull up onto this ledge, and we actually need to wait for the trapdoor to raise again so that we can pull the rope for the bell. So grab the bell pull and we can ring the bells. I was very chuffed with that bell soundtrack I managed to find. So before we leave the church tower, if we jump and pull up, we're able to reach the roof of the tower. And what a vista there is from up here. We can see birds flying in the sky, there are pigeons, and if we look carefully, behind this ornament, there is another secret Santa. So grab it and let's just take a moment to admire the view. Now, unfortunately, you can't see quite as far as you might have been able to if the level had a maximum draw distance, but unfortunately, I had to limit the draw distance for this level to 37 blocks in every direction, as otherwise it was too laggy. So drop down and use drop and grab to safely descend the church tower, and we can jump back to the ladder and go and see what Lore has discovered on the floor below. It seems that the loud ringing of the church bells has caused some old books to fall out of a bookcase.
Lara, look! Some old books fell when you rang the bell. I've spotted what looks like an old map.
Uh-huh. I wonder if this is the map that Reggie spoke about.
So we've now discovered an old map, and we have another hint on our phone. So it tells us that Lore's found an old map. It's very cryptic, but that Lara should now check out the 2 new locations marked on that map, which are different from the more modern map that we have. So the first is the coal mine entrance to the bottom left, and that is actually quite near us. We got a camera hint showing the gate to this new valley open as we were chatting to Lore there. So that is the next location that we're going to visit. The other new location are some catacombs marked to the top right of the map, but we can't access those quite yet. So before we do anything else, we're going to hop onto this snowy ledge behind the tree, and if we jump here we can grab and shimmy to the right on top of this wall, and here we can grab that elusive secret Santa that we saw from the top of the phone box. And now we can drop down here, and I'm just going to show you another way you could have reached that. So from this ledge, whoops, I didn't mean to slide off. From this ledge here, we could have jumped and grabbed from the far right hand side, but you do have to use forward and action, just jumping, and Lara won't grab the ledge. So here we can see another snowy valley with a frozen over river, and this is one of the final areas that I built for this level. So we're going to want to hop up the rocks on this right hand side, and we can see a frozen waterfall ahead. Now this is our ultimate destination and the main goal of this valley, but before we get to that I'm going to take a diversion up these rocks, and from here we can find another secret Santa, which you can actually see from the village below if you're at the right angle. I loved creating those village houses, by the way. I thought they were very cute. So come over here and grab a secret Santa, and we can now hop back to the rocks and slide down back into the river valley. And from here there are one of 2 ways to reach the waterfall. So if we jump over here we can see another ledge in front of us, so we're going to want to jump to this ledge, and we can do a fairly tricky curved jump to reach the ledge in front of us from this ledge, but the diagonal wall makes that quite difficult. So what we're actually going to do is take the easier route and grab the top of the frozen waterfall, and we can now jump to the ledge from here. We could have reached the waterfall from the blue icy ledge on the other side of the valley. There's more than one way to climb up. And here we're going to want to push a very large Celtic symbol, and this is going to give us a flyby and some music which shows us a door open beneath the ice. So we're going to have to swim underneath the ice to reach a new secret location. And thankfully again I didn't choose to put the freeze bar in this level. That would have made the swim rather interesting, shall we say. Now to find a way to swim under the ice. We saw a trap door open, and originally there was no trap door, but I added it because I wanted to prevent players from being able to swim under the ice before opening the door, as I felt like it would be an easy way to get stuck without air, and I didn't want people swimming around aimlessly looking for stuff under the ice, not in a Christmas level. So now we can swim through here, knowing that we have an air pocket waiting for us at the other end. So let's swim underneath the frozen waterfall and into the dark depths of this area, and we can surface in a small cave, and we'll find ourselves at the entrance to the coal mine as marked on the old map.
An old coal mine. I wonder if there's anything down here.
And so we find ourselves in a coal mine. As you saw there when we entered, we were able to pick up some more flares, just in case we might need them. In fact, I am going to light one here in a moment, as there is one secret hidden in this area. So let's venture behind this cobweb and crawl through the gap to find the secret in this area. We are getting ever closer to our total number of secrets. So let's crawl back out of the gap and explore some more of the mine. This was the very last section of the level that I built, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Certainly visually, I love this area and the lighting. And as we walk in here, we will find ourselves faced with some kind of pulley system. And you can see there's a minecart on one end of the pulley, and it's rather heavy and it's weighing down the pulley. So if we push the minecart off the pulley, then this will cause the two sides to balance out a bit. And now we can jump to the second and fall off. Of course she falls off when I'm filming a video. She never does normally. So hop back up onto this side of the pulley, and we can use this slightly higher side to jump up and pull up into the cave above. And here we are going to see an artifact. So let's walk over and pick it up. We'll be shown a camera view of an area that we have yet to visit, as well as a shot showing a trap door open behind us. So let's run over to the ladder, and if we climb the ladder, we will find ourselves back in a very familiar area. We will need to use the grab and drop method to pull up from the ladder, and if we crawl out of the gap, we'll find ourselves on the side of a cliff facing the village. If we slide down, we'll land in this small front garden, and we can pick up another secret Santa. So let's just run around here and take a brief look at this village. I was, again, really pleased with how this turned out. I had a lot of fun making these little houses. I thought they were kind of cute. And there's nothing to find down here, but we're just going to run over and appreciate the scenery through this gate. You can't actually get to that area. That's just to give some scenery at the end of the world, as it were. So now we're going to do a bit of secret hunting. So there is another secret that we can find behind the church. So if we run around this side of the church, we will find ourselves behind a fence. Now, you may have been able to spot the secret Santa from the other side of the fence, but this is how you pick it up. And we're now going to explore the valley to the left. And this is another of my favourite parts of the level. I particularly like the textures here. I really love this section, and I had a lot of fun texturing this and placing all the trees here. And if you keep your eyes peeled, you might have already spotted another secret Santa. So pick this up, and we can now continue along this path. If we keep running here, we will actually find ourselves behind the chicken coop. There's a grate there which leads to the chicken coop, and despite what you may initially think, you can't shoot that. But there is another reason for it being there, which you will find out later on. But if we push this button, we'll open a gate, and we can now exit the village area and collect another secret. so we need to keep our eyes peeled here. And if we look at the hill on our right, you may notice that this part is actually quite low and we can pull up onto it. And you may have already spotted the little dot of red ahead of us. And if we do a running jump, we can easily reach this patch of grass and pick up another secret Santa. And we now have 17 out of 20 secrets. Not too many to go now. So I'm just scrolling through the diary here, and this shows the entry that we got when we picked up the Celtic key. And it tells us that maybe we can use it in that catacombs location marked on the map. Now, we can't reach that yet. There are a few more things that we're going to need to do in order to get up there. As you can see, the road is very sloped there, and unaided, Lara is not going to be able to climb that slope. So let's run back into the main farm area. Now this level is described as a Celtic location, but it's most likely based on Wales, not least because of all the sheep around and the fact there's a coal mine. Now let's run back into the farmhouse and give Reggie the chocolate we bought. If we go into the lounge, we'll see him sitting on the sofa. Let's see if he's discovered anything.
Hey, here's your chocolate.
Ah, that's awesome. Thank you, Lara. While you were in the village, I read more about the harp player, and the book said that years later, someone found a secret map showing where the two might be. So I had a hunt around. I didn't find the map, but I did come across the key to that old mill. Here, you take it in case you find a use for it.
Thanks. While I was in the village, I found an old map, but it's very cryptic.
I might be mistaken, but I think this is suggesting that there are some old ruins located up the hill to the east. Maybe it would be worth exploring up there. I'm going to keep reading and see if I can discover any more clues.
Sure thing.
And so we learn that while Reggie may not have found any more clues to the whereabouts of the harpist, he did come across the key to the old mill, which he kindly gave to us. So it's now time to go and make use of that key, and this is going to help us with a couple of the other tasks that other people have asked us to do. So we can see the old mill situated on top of this hill. I did not mean to rhyme there. And we can run up the sloped path and steps, and we now have the key with which to open the door. So let's insert the key and find out what lies inside the mill. Hopefully we're going to find some useful things in here.
Hopefully I can find flour and grain for the chickens in here.
So Lara looks at this item as soon as she walks in, and this is a bag of grain for the chickens. But this isn't the only thing we need. We also need flour, and this is a flour mill.
Something is jamming the mill mechanism.
Lara tells us that something is jamming the mill mechanism, and we get a phone symbol. So if we check out the note on Lara's phone, she says that the mill is being jammed with something and that she needs to find flour. So if we press action on this sack, Lara will pull it out, and the mill will now be unjammed, as it were, and we can see it coming to life and also hear it. I love the ambience track I was able to find for this area. It really makes it feel as if the mill comes to life once you unjam the mechanism. So you may have been wondering what I was doing with that box of grain, and you may notice that there is some kind of pulley here. So what I did was I moved the box onto the pulley, and the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed that on the ceiling there is a ladder, but it's slightly out of our reach. So this pulley has two wheels, one on either side. One lowers the pulley and the other raises it. So we can use this to raise this box of grain, and if we continue to pull it, we can position it underneath the ladder, which will allow us to jump up and grab said ladder, and this will grant us access to the upper floor of the mill. So push the box of grain, and now we'll be able to investigate the upper floor. So we still need to obtain some flour, and gaining access to this upper floor is going to help us in that task. So if we run around the side here, we'll spot a hanging rope, and if we pull this, we're going to dislodge a sack of grain, which is going to fall to the ground and explode. We'll be shown a camera showing some smoke, and now an empty sack. So we'll go down and grab that in a moment, but before we do, if we look out of the window, we can spot another of the elusive secret Santas. So we're going to need to access that from outside, as there's no way of exiting the mill on the upper floor. So let's drop down the ladder, and here we can pick up an empty sack.
An empty sack. Now to fill it with ground flour somehow.
Lara comments that we need to fill the sack with ground flour somehow, and we'll be shown a camera hint of this trap door. So let's run up to the trap door, grab it and pull it open, and this will cause a load of flour to pour out from above. You can see it's a different texture to the unground grain. So if we walk onto that tile, Lara will automatically fill up the sack with flour, and we can now exit the mill. Our work here is done. So climb the ladder and we can leave. But before we go too far from this area, remember the secret Santa that we saw through the window. And there is a way to reach the roof of the mill from the outside. So if we run around the side of the mill, we'll see that this snow pile is a bit higher than the rest of the ground, and we can use that to pull up onto the roof, which is flat enough to stand on. And here we can claim our 18th secret Santa. So now let's drop off the roof of the mill, and we have a few more errands to run. We now need to go and give Tomb Raider XI the eggs and the flour. But before we give him the flour, we are going to go and find some eggs, as we need to give him both at once, otherwise he's not going to give us the next task. So run over to the chicken coop. It's finally time to use our crowbar. I'm just stopping off at the duck pond there to check out the cute little ducks swimming on that pond. It's a rather cold looking pond, but the ducks don't seem bothered by it. So now we can use our crowbar to crack open the gate to the chicken coop. And we can hear the chickens clucking away in here. I actually used the Minecraft chicken sounds here, and I do think these are incredibly cute. These objects are from one of the previous year's Team Christmas level packages that was released. So we need to go around the chicken coop collecting some eggs. So we're going to need to pick up 3 eggs. 1 egg alone is not enough to make a Christmas pudding, it would seem. So let's collect 3, and once we have all 3 in our inventory, it's time to run back to the farmhouse and complete our errand for Tomb Raider XI. We can give him the eggs and the flour that we got from the mill, and he's then going to give us another little errand to run. So let's run into the kitchen and find out what that is.
Here are the ingredients.
Amazing. Thanks, Lara. Also, while you're here, take this coffee out to DJ. He's been outside in the cold yard for ages. I'm sure he could do with one.
Sure.
So we find out our next task is to bring DJ a mug of coffee, and bring DJ coffee was a bit of a meme in the Tomb Raider level editor playing community, so that's kind of funny. And he won't allow us to feed the chickens until we bring him coffee.
Here, I brought you a coffee.
Ah, coffee. Just what I needed, thank you. Now we have food, we can feed the chickens.
So it turns out DJ wanted coffee more than food for the chickens, and now that he has a nice warm drink, he will allow us to go and feed the chickens. But as we will soon see, all is not well.
Esmeralda has escaped. She must have picked a hole and squeezed through that grating. I'll repair the gap so the others don't follow. You go and look for her.
Where? She could be anywhere.
You are the Tomb Raider. I am sure I can cope with finding a chicken. Take the horse if you want. I've unlocked the barn.
And so it transpires that Esmeralda has escaped. Maybe it was the comment about Christmas dinner earlier, who knows. So we will leave DJ to repair the gap in the fence, and as he told us, the barn is now open, so we can investigate this area.
Floris, how did you get trapped down there? Chasing mice? Or is there something else tasty down there? I need to find a way to open that trap door to let him out.
And so it transpires that Floris, T-Tat's cat, is trapped in the storage area, and we can see a related note here on our phone if we need a clue. And we're going to need to use that sack of grain hanging above to open that trap door in order to free poor Floris. I wonder how he got down there. He was probably looking for something tasty and managed to squeeze through the grating. If I fits, I sits, and all that. So we need to reach the second level if we're going to dislodge that grain sack. I threw a switch by the door opposite there. That opens the other 3 doors in the barn so that we can go out on all 4 sides. We can shoot the boxes and claim some flares. Before I do anything else, I'm going to check out this beam. If Lara wants to grab it, of course she doesn't when I'm filming. So let's try and grab this and pull up. There is something we can collect from this beam, which is a large med kit. So let's drop back down and run over to these boxes.
I think I can grab that beam.
Lara gives us a hint that we can grab the beam. So jump forward and grab it. It is in fact a swing pole. So we crash open the trap door and we get a cutscene showing an adorably cute Floris returning to the house. So we have fulfilled our mission there.
My arms are getting tired.
The reason for this message was that I wanted to have Lara continue to grab the beam during the cutscene so that people wouldn't fall to their death. But then once I release the grab, I want to give players a bit of warning so that Lara doesn't just suddenly let go. So that's why I had that message about Lara's arms getting tired. As you saw there, I picked up some cakes from amongst the food on that upper level. And we're now going to claim another Secret Santa. That's if Lara wants to cooperate. Let's try and jump to the correct section of this haystack. So originally there was a secret just on top of this haystack, as a couple of my testers will know, but I actually moved this because originally I had a monkey swing on the ceiling in order to reach the haystack, and it was causing some very odd glitches with the entrance to the storage area. So we can shoot the box and claim a Secret Santa. So a pull up on the beam and we can now drop back down to the top of the haystack, having claimed that secret. Just 1 more left. And now we're going to want to investigate the area in which Floris was trapped. And here is a rather prominent apple, and we'll be shown a view of a horse. This horse is essentially a jeep object which we can ride, and the apple acts as the ignition key, so we have to pick up the apple before we can ride the horse. So next, use the crowbar to pry open this gate, and we can greet our new friend with an apple. And we can now ride the horse, which is a lot of fun, but it was a bit of a nightmare in terms of getting stuck on things, as you will see by this message.
Now that I have the horse, maybe I can reach those ruins at the top of the hill.
Lara tells us the purpose of riding the horse. Now, you may have heard a music track there, and unfortunately, because I have music triggers at the entrance to the barn, it cancels out the default Jeep soundtrack. So if you want to hear that festive music, it's worth dismounting the horse and climbing back on, and that will reset the music. It's probably worth mentioning that to dismount the horse you use Alt and sideways directions, and if you need to reverse, toggle between Sprint and Shift. So as we ride up the hill, we'll find ourselves in a snowy blizzard.
The mountain pass is completely blocked by snow. I won't be able to go that way.
Lara tells us that the mountain pass is blocked by snow, so that's not an area we're going to be able to investigate. So it's worth climbing off the horse around here, as there is something to find in this section. If we run up to where the sheep is, you may spot another glimmer of red. This is our final secret, and we're now shown a camera of a door opening back in the attic. You may remember from some time ago there was a secret door in the attic. So we're going to return there in just a moment, but before we do, we're going to use our Celtic key. So if we run up to these ancient stones, there is a tile with a texture on it, and if we stand on that prominent tile, Lara will use her Celtic key, and this lowers a block in the cave behind the waterfall to our right. But before we investigate that, we are going to go and check out the secret area that we opened. And you'll see there on our right a block has raised. That is in order to prevent soft blocks. So if you ride the horse up the hill and return without it, as we have, we will now be able to climb back up the hill without using the horse. So let's run back to the farmhouse, and we're going to want to climb back into the attic. I do enjoy putting small secret bonus areas in levels. This is slightly smaller than the one I put in Christmas in Prague, but I still think it's kind of cute, and I hope people enjoy discovering it. So climb up the ladder, and we'll find ourselves back in the attic with a newly opened door. So let's run inside, and we'll get a Christmassy tune play as we enter. And if we take a look around, there is a Christmas greeting from me, and we'll see a tiny Santa sat on that chair looking very cozy in the corner. And you may have guessed it, but these screenshots are teasers from unreleased levels of mine. So the majority of them are from my Greek project, which I really hope to finish at some point. That thing has been in the works for a very long time, and some of the ones on this wall, the two right hand ones, are from part 2 of Rome Wasn't Built in a Day, my Creator Classic level from 2021. So hopefully those will see the light of day at some point. They are there as a little teaser, and consider it a reward for finding all the secrets. So now that we have visited that attic room, I'm just going to run back to the dining room and the small study corner, and we're just going to take a look at Floris, as he has now returned to T-Tac and he is chilling here on the rug. And let's take a closer look at him. He's really cute. T-Tac actually made this object to resemble her real-life cat, Floris, and it's a detail I really appreciated. I think it's really fun. So now that we have investigated the final secret area, let's run back up the hill and check out the catacombs. This is the final area of the level. Speaking of custom-made objects, the Dinner Raider and lore characters were made by Dinner Raider herself to resemble their real-life faces. So if you take a look at those two characters, they do actually resemble Dinner and Lore. And that was another contribution I really valued. there are quite a few contributions in this level from various people, and that's another reason I felt I really wanted to finish and release this particular project, as so many people contributed aspects, and I am really grateful for that. And I think overall it makes for a really festive adventure, hopefully. So as you can see, we are now wading through this tunnel, and we'll find ourselves in a brand new cave area. So we're going to save the game because it's possible to fall and die here if you're not too careful. So drop down, and the safest way to descend is to drop onto this ledge and hop down these pillars. You can drop into the water, which is waist height, but for some reason sometimes Lara likes to die when she lands in the water. I don't know why. She's supposed to survive dropping into waist deep water from high heights, but she doesn't always, so it's worth being careful. So we can see here the final puzzle of the level, and if we pull this switch, we'll be treated to a camera hint showing us some murals on the wall, and a very pretty tune plays, again composed by DJ.
Looks like I'll have to play notes in the right order if I want to open that door.
So Lara tells us that we need to play notes in the right order. And if we take a look at our note on our phone, Lara will give us a bit of a clue if we're a bit stuck with the puzzle. But basically, some of the tiles on the floor play music notes, specifically the ones that correspond with the mural on the wall. And we can see that there is a raising block over the other side of the room. That's not going to open until later. So if we look in the middle of the room, these 3 tiles in a row have murals which match the ones on the wall, and we basically need to step on them in the correct order. It doesn't matter if we touch any other tiles. Once we do, we'll be shown a camera view of this very fancy door spinning and opening, and we'll be treated to another of the tunes composed by DJ. This puzzle itself was another contribution by DJ and Dinner Raider. They were able to script that, so that was very much appreciated. And also the script for the mill pulley puzzle comes from Tomb Raider XII. As I said, a lot of people contributed a lot for this level, so it is really appreciated, and I think it's come together nicely. So let's run down this tunnel, and we will find ourselves in a new cave.
Oh, beautiful. It's a harp, buried beneath the ice. I wonder if I can reach it. I'd have to break the ice somehow. Esmeralda? How did you get in there? Come out, you silly bird. Ugh, I can't reach. I'll have to find a way to open that door.
And so, not only have we discovered the infamous long-lost harp, we have also found Esmerelda, but we can't reach her, and we're going to have to open the door. So we get another phone hint there telling us what we need to do. So basically, as indicated by the camera, we need to dislodge the ornament hanging above the ice, and this is going to crack the ice and allow us to get to the harp. So now we need to find a way to climb up to that monkey swing. So let's take a look around this room, and if we look to the left, there is a ledge that we can jump up and grab, and this is going to allow us to do some platforming. I really enjoyed the opportunity to use the Back to Basics Northern Legends pack in this area. Most of the textures you see come from that package, and I found them really fun to build with. It kind of gives me a slight vibe of the caves from Tomb Raider 1. I've always thought that about the assets from that pack. and like I said, they were a lot of fun to work with in this area. So if we turn to the right, we can jump to another series of ledges. This is probably the trickiest of the jumps. So let's just make it around that corner, and now we can jump to the ledge with the grass on it that is standable, and one more standing jump to this ledge, and we can now jump up and grab the monkey bars. But before we do, I'm just going to press look again, and let's just take a moment to appreciate that view. I really love that view. In fact, I used it for one of the screenshots to showcase the level. I love the FLEP particles here. It really looks as if there is snow falling in from above, and the light beams just add to the ambience. So we're going to monkey bar over to this ornament and drop.
It won't take my weight.
We need to be prepared to immediately jump back up and grab the monkey bars, as the ornament won't take Lara's weight as she jumps down onto it. That's going to dislodge it and smash the ice below. Thankfully, Tomb Raider logic, the harp is unharmed and we'll be able to monkey bar to the end. We can either drop here or return to where we originally grabbed the bars. It's up to you. And now we can investigate the harp. And Lara is going to play us a lovely harp melody, again composed by DJ Full. And this is going to open the door to the next area. And once we investigate what's inside that area, it will make sense of why a harp melody was instrumental in opening that door. Lovely. So now we're going to run into this room and find out what's inside.
Oh, looks like this is the final resting place of the harpist. I wonder what happened to her. Well, that's one mystery solved.
So we have discovered the final resting place of the harpist, and as Lara said, we don't know exactly what happened to her, but we have at least solved one mystery as to the whereabouts of her final resting place and her harp. Here we can see a gap to the outside, and it's too narrow for us, but that's probably how Esmeralda got here.
Come on, Esmeralda. Time to go home. Now, how to get out of here carrying a chicken? This is going to be interesting.
And so Lara tells us that we're going to have to get out of here carrying Esmeralda. And as you can see, it's possible to pick her up. And there's one final note on Lara's phone in order to explain that. And we're going to need to be very careful not to lose Esmeralda, as she is essential to ending the level. If you're not carrying her over the end trigger, the level end will not activate. So take good care of her. She's essentially in the torch slot, and that's the only way I could think of to have Lara carry an object and be able to pick her up and set her down again. So I had to remove any fire from the vicinity, as there was a very funny bug that people saw when I was building this. You could essentially light poor Esmeralda on fire because she's in the torch slot. So I think we'll avoid that. We don't want any roast chicken here. So drop Esmeralda, and she will complain she doesn't like being dropped. Whoops, I didn't mean to pick her up again. Let's put our guns away, and now we can pull this switch, a block lowered to reveal that switch, and the switch will raise a block by the exit, and this is going to allow us to jump high enough to reach the upper waterfall ledge without grabbing, and this is essential in order to exit the area carrying Esmeralda. Again, it's timed, but I did make the timer fairly lenient. There is enough time to make at least one error and still make it. The timer is basically just there to make you panic a bit. So now we can exit the cave area carrying Esmeralda. let's get to shallower water before poor Esmeralda drowns, and let's carry her safely out of the cave. We're now back in the open air, and we can enjoy DJ's lovely harp melody and the scenery here. So once we run through the gate back into the farm, that's where the level end trigger is going to activate, but it will only activate if we have Esmeralda in our hand. The same for if we run into the farm from the other direction. So if you want to go back and hunt for secrets, drop Esmeralda before you run through this gate. But we have all the secrets, so it's time for the ending.
Oh, well done, Lara. You did it. You found her.
Turns out she went on quite the adventure and did a little tomb raiding of her own.
Really? You can tell me and the others all about it over Christmas dinner, which is ready, by the way. We should go inside and eat.
Nice. After all that, I'm starving.
And so we see Lara and her friends gathered around the piano for some carols, and even the chickens have a little present there. If we pan up to the roof of the church, we'll see the harp has been returned, and we now pan up to the sky and we'll see a very familiar silhouette and a reindeer with a red nose fly past. And that is the end of the level. It took us an hour to play and we have found all the secrets. And if you thought the voice singing that carol sounded a little familiar, well, you'd be right. That actually was Lara singing the carol, so to speak. Before I conclude the video, I should mention a bit of backstory to the name Esmeralda. Apparently my great-great-grandfather had a favourite chicken called Esmerelda, so that's where the name comes from. Also, this level was originally intended to release slightly earlier in the calendar, but due to burnout after Creator Classic, I lost quite a lot of time, so I spent many sleepless nights trying to finish this, and it eventually released on the 31st of December. So I hope you guys have enjoyed both the author playthrough and the level. If you want to download this and play it for yourself, there'll be a link in the description. Also, if you enjoyed this author playthrough, please do consider liking and subscribing to get notified when I upload a video next, and also to support the channel. And a very happy Christmas and a happy New Year to you if you're watching this video soon after release. And all that remains to say is, this is AgentXP. Thank you for watching. TTFN.